Hello everyone! Today we are going to continue learning all about habitats. Remember, a habitat is a place where an animal can live. In order for an animal to live in a certain kind of habitat, that habitat has to have three things. Those three things are food, water, and shelter. So far, we have learned about three different kinds of habitats. We have learned about deserts, oceans, and freshwater habitats, and today we are going to be learning about polar habitats. I'm going to move this a little bit closer so you can take a look. What do you see in our polar habitats? I see that there's land up here and there's water down here, and we're going to learn about that in just a minute. I also see there's lots of different animals that can both stay on land and animals that can be in the cold water. I noticed that there's not a lot of plants, but I do notice there's a lot of snow and ice. So let's talk about why there's this water part in my polar habitat. I thought that was an ocean habitat. Well, the thing about polar habitats is both polar habitats on our Earth are surrounded by water. Up at the top of our Earth is the North Pole. The North Pole is really just sheets of ice that are floating up in the Arctic Ocean. The South Pole, all the way down here, is also called Antarctica, and Antarctica is also completely surrounded by water. Now, the South Pole or Antarctica is a little bit different from the North Pole. It's not just sheets of ice floating in the water. Antarctica is land that is covered in snow and ice. Now, the North Pole is actually a tiny bit warmer than the South Pole. It's still super cold. It's about minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit at the North Pole, whereas in the South Pole or Antarctica, it's minus 129 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really, really, really cold. And what both of them have in common is they don't get any rain. They get lots of snow, there's lots of ice, but there's no rain. So I bet you're wondering, what kind of animals can survive in such cold weather? So one of those animals is a polar bear. Polar bears live up near the North Pole. There are also walruses, penguins, elks, harp seals. There are Arctic hares, which are like rabbits, but that live in the Arctic. There are Arctic foxes as well. You can see the Arctic fox all the way in that back corner there. Now, I bet you're wondering, so all these animals live there, but how do they survive? So they all have different survival techniques. So some animals, like the Arctic fox and the Arctic hare, have white fur. That white fur helps them blend in with the snow and the ice and helps keep them safe in their environment. Other animals like penguins, walruses, some whales like humpback whales and killer whales, they have a thick layer of fat beneath their fur or their outer skin, and that thick layer of fat actually helps keep them warm when it's so cold outside. So boys and girls, thank you so much for listening and learning about polar habitats. Which animal do you think you'd want to be if you lived in a polar habitat? I know I'd want to be a penguin, but I just really love penguins. So think about that for me, and then you'll get to work on that polar habitat page in your habitats book. Go ahead and draw a polar habitat around all those polar animals. All right, thank you for watching, boys and girls. I hope you have a great day.